welcomes you all to this panel discussion of very important topic, digitalization of L&D with eminent panel of women leaders, Simin Askari, Deepshika Malik, Ashima Runa, and Gundan Shukla ji. Research continues to show that most employees prefer digital methods for learning and working. Digital transformation in L&D is pivotal to an organization's success. Therefore, organizations must invest heavily in digitally transforming their L&D programs and initiatives. In this session, we want to learn and share about the initiatives taken towards digitalization in L&D and also discuss the challenges and strategies. I once again welcome all the panelists, event curator Dr. GP Rao, Dr. TV Rao, and all my seniors, friends from NIPM, NHRD, DMA, FMA, and various chapters of ISTD. I wish you all for a wonderful evening and lot of learning. Namaskar. Over to Dr. GP Rao.
Thank you, Mr. Jain. It was a wonderful opening. In fact, you have set the context. Uh, so, welcome everyone. So, I just wanted to tell you something that when we wanted to have a special session, so the members said ISTD stands for training and development. So, the topic has to be around learning and development. The second feedback came is the COVID has taught us that going digital, being online, it is the new real. So what we were avoiding or what we were debating on, what we were contesting on, now it has become almost a part. So L&D will not be an exception. So then we looked for organizations where digitalization is in progress, they have tasted it, done it. So we looked for where, professionals from different organizations, public sector, private sector. And it's a coincidence that all the recommended names were women. We never thought that we'll do an all women L&D session, but it came out that way. So no offense to my men colleagues, huh? It is just came out like that. These are the organizations uh, where Simin is working, DS Group, Deepshika is with the Hero Motocorp, and Ashima is with Cosmos, and our madam is with BHL. So this is how the panel was constituted. Then we said we'll have a moderator. Then we found out that no, one amongst them will be the moderating the session. So today's session will be moderated by Simin Askari. And we requested them that we would like to know from you what extent digitalization is in progress, what are the benefits that you have seen, do you see any challenges in continuing with this, what are the mitigation strategy ideas or suggestions or just thoughts and experiences. So this is what we have requested them. So we look forward to a wonderful interactive session. And we knew that the number of people may be limited, but we'll get quality participant that gets established with people like Dr. TV Rao in the audience today. With that, I would like to present the moderator first. Simin Askari's slide, please. IT. Can I have the slide of Ms. Simin Askari? Yeah. So I have the pleasure of introducing our moderator, panelist, Simin Askari. She's the corporate HR and business excellence head for DS Group. Sorry, the name of the company is not there. She represents DS Group. She is a seasoned HR professional for more than 30 years. She is a recipient of several awards, including Women Super Achiever in 2010, Women Leadership Award in 2014, and Global Achievers Forum Great Yuddhas of Indian HR Award in 2017. She is the chairperson of POSH, ICNDS in another company. She's a member of CII Northern Region HR and IR Committee, life member NHRDN, member DMN, a prolific speaker, a wonderful person, loved and respected in the organizations. Welcome to Simin. With this,
So
you will now introduce the panel and take us through. So,
thank you so much, Dr. Rao. It's an honor to be on the panel with so many, women leaders who are experts in their fields. And if I could have the next slide, please. So I have the pleasure of introducing Ashima Runa to you all. Ashima is the Vice President HR at Cosmo Films, and she has worked with Cinepolis, Bombardier, ASL, and Oberoi Group, amongst others. She is ex-ISS pass out and also did her BA from Jesus and Mary College, Delhi. She is a recipient again of many awards and has been featured in the Forbes list of top 100 great people and has been one of the 17 women to be featured on that list. She has been working on various areas, specifically in setting up of transformation in various geographies and L&D and employee engagement and acquisition and JVs. She's also done a leadership program from Harvard Business School. So thank you so much, Ashrima, for agreeing to be on the panel, and we all will stand to gain from your experiences. Our
Thank you so
next
much.
panelist is Ms. Deepshika Malik. Deepshika is I would say, relatively younger amongst us, professional with 16 years of experience, and she's been working with Hero Motocorp, again, an organization which is known for its very robust L&D interventions, and I'm sure she's going to share a lot with us. She's a certified NLP and a trainer and also a life coach. She's been a member of a POSH committee at a Hero Group. She's been working on a lot of things, including L&D, employee engagement, OD, ER, and so many other HR functions. She's also been working on helping people to reach their true potential, and I think that's what sort of drives her. And I'm sure when she takes us through her experiences, this is going to be only more evident. Our next panelist is Ms. Gundan Shukla. We are really thankful for Gunjanji Show to actually be able to come despite not feeling too well. And Gunjanji is the AGM and Corporate Learning and Development at BHEL, and she has implemented a lot of e-learning and newer learning interventions. Again, she's an electrical engineer from SGA SITS Indore, and prior to this L&D function, she was in the power sector marketing function. So again, having diverse sort of experience, I'm sure is going to reflect in the way she is going to sort of share with us her experiences. So thank you all panelists for being with me here, and I'm sure my job is going to be easier considering that I have so many experienced ladies with me. So Dr. Rao, is it okay if I now start the session? Or
yeah, all yours, all yours.
all right. So thank you. I think before we start, just a little brief on how we are going to go about it. We will be sort of having a discussion amongst the panelists, and initially we will be talking about how digitalization has impacted our various organizations, what have the challenges been. In the middle, we would also carry out a small poll to understand what are your views as an audience, also to engage you guys and also ensure that you're not dozing off just listening to us speak. Yes, so that's important. And last but not the least, we will also talk about what the future holds for learning and development, and how do we foresee L&D going henceforth. So just to start, I think I will,
Simin, I'll just sorry to stop you. Will you take some questions also from the
of
audience?
course we will
Okay.
take questions.
Then I will request the audience, while in the chat box we exchange greetings, well done and all. If you have a question, please write the question, but then start with a capital Q. So I will take that, that will draw our attention, and I will pass it on to the moderator. Please write down your questions in the chat box. Thank you.
Also, can I request the audience, in case you have a question which is directed to any one of us, You could just mention that so
Okay.
it makes it
Yeah.
easier
Done.
for us to
Okay.
answer back.
Great. Thank you.
All right. So as I was saying, this year has been, I would say, turbulent. It has been very different. Things have never been the way we are kind of experiencing it now. And as COVID has sort of taken everything by surprise, L&D has been no exception. Uh, but as I firmly believe, with every adversity, there is always a hidden opportunity, and organizations have used this period to sort of help accelerate their own endeavor into going digital. So it's not like before this pandemic hit us that we were not moving actually towards the fourth industrial revolution, and there was already digitalization happening around us. AI, ML, IoT, these are things and buzzwords that were already there, and we were experiencing it in various HR functions and other business functions. But this pandemic has actually created the need for an overnight shift towards digital working. And with the lockdown happening, a lot of companies actually faced many challenges, especially organizations like mine, I would say, that are manufacturing setups where we were not really used to having people working from home. So suddenly everything was thrown out of gear. And I would say that initially HR professionals were working, I think, 24/7 in trying to ensure people are provided with the right infrastructure, with the right trainings, with the right work, I would say, instructions to make sure that they are productive. So what also happened that after the initial turbulent time when all of us were trying to set the systems in place and make sure that our people are engaged, we started feeling that this is the right time when we can utilize this period and have learning happening during this period. So there was a time when people also, while they were during the lockdown, they were also able to sit back, rethink and evaluate their own professional journeys, and also felt that this is the time when they can upskill themselves. They were willing to learn, they were willing to step out of their shells and experiment. They were willing to develop alternate skills and expertise, and organizations and especially HR professionals really took up that challenge. And I'm sure my co-panelists are also going to explain to you how we all were able to manage pushing L&D and digitalization, digital L&D really to the forefront. There was a lot that started happening, and I can share with my own experience here that we utilized this period to make sure that our people were engaged by providing them micro learning sessions. It wasn't like we were doing too much, but smaller sessions through the internet, through which were mobile enabled, where they could get that learning sitting at home wherever they were. So these kind of interventions also helped in changing the way organizations started looking at the L&D function. And I would say to a certain extent, the mindset started changing within the organization. I don't know about you guys, but organizations like mine, which we are a 91-year-old organization, so a lot of people are there within the there are multi generations working, and especially with the older generation, to push training becomes a bit of a challenge. And obviously, to push digital learning becomes even a bigger challenge, because people used to think unless a person is sitting in front of them, they are not productive. If a person is not sitting in front, or a teacher or instructor is not in front of them, the learning is not effective. I think the entire way, the approach of work has now changed completely. And going forward, I think this is going to be the new normal, and HR has obviously started understanding that. So with that, I would, just a small introduction. I would like to start asking my panelists first. Can I think, come to you, Deepshika? Uh, you Can you tell us that in Hero Motocorps, you have used digital L&D, and this, according to you, also has been a powerful tool for culture change. How do you think has e-learning changed the mindset in your organization, and what has your experience been? Deepshika, you're muted.
Thanks, Amin. Good evening, everyone. It's a wonderful opportunity to be here, and I'm sure it is going to be a great learning for me as well. I'll try my best to share as much as I can with this wonderful group sitting out here. So, quite a relevant question. What is happening on the mindset front? For me, I firmly believe that digitalization has to do more with people more than the technology. So technology is something that is really available, but how people take it and make the most use of it actually makes a difference. All right. So in terms of mindset, if I tell you, and I'm sure all the L&D professionals sitting out here would relate to this, whenever we used to come up with a learning intervention, taking buy-in from your leadership for a learning intervention was such a big deal. Even the employees used to consider the e-learning platforms as an added burden a lot of times. So our life as L&D professionals was all about, pushing people hard to get the programs done, selling the concept of e-learning, the training impact on business, etc., etc. So the initial lockdown period had all the brains coming together to discuss the strategies, how to engage our people. But gradually we realized before COVID time, we used to just talk about in various conferences, we just used to talk about digitalization, what will happen when we really enter into this. And specifically from a manufacturing mindset, we are really in the midst of this digital era. And for me, it requires the digital mindset before we actually skill up our people to learn new technology. And when I say digital mindset, it is about the people, the attitudes and behaviors that our people have, and the behaviors that will enable our organization and people to foresee the immense possibilities that digitalization brings in for us. All right. So at Hero, obviously there was a lot of shift in mindset. We have done immense work on virtual platforms, and it was a real difficult task for us to drive it down the bottom line. We started our journey. We picked up a few people who could really drive the agenda across the organization. We've done a lot of work on blue collar engagement using digital platforms. So I think, yes, mindset is changing, and so is the culture. But so digital mindset is something that really we would be working on, and we are working on it. So going ahead, I think digitalization has worked really well with a lot of advantages. I'll just share you one of the examples that we had during training our people on virtual platform, and especially for the blue collared platform, blue collared workmen. So we had used a lot of training programs that we used to do in our classrooms, like a lot of posh programs, mandatory programs, behavioral change, also technical skills change program. And the people have now started, accepting the system, being more flexible, being more productive, and they can see beyond production. So definitely mindsets are changing, and we look forward to growth mindset in our organization.
Thank you so much, Deepshika. Yes, digital mindset is required before we have, people to start using digital tools for learning. Yes, definitely. Ashima, how have, they all say that digital transformation is pivotal to an organization's success. How has digital learning changed the culture in your organization? What has your experience been on this space?
Sure. So I would take a step back. I think we that ways were, little fortunate that we had built the spine of digital learning pre-COVID times. And by this, what I mean is that We had regional training centers in place. We had regional trainers in place. We had digital content, in place. So now, as far as our organization is concerned, the digital platform for learning, we believe in blended learning and we believe in spaced learning. So we have kept the digitalization of training in terms of capability building, in terms of leadership pipeline, in terms of driving performance across levels. So what happened that when it came to operational people or the junior teams, we started engaging people, through Microsoft Teams, through engaging through Coursera, LinkedIn, degreed platforms. So, people that had a blend. So for operational teams, people had standard modules that they had to go through. For managerial teams, we gave them the space and the time to learn, and they had the flexibility of downloading content from platforms like Degreed and from LinkedIn and learn through and do a certification. And it was quite amazing to see that people were taking at that point of time. I'm sure all of us would have seen that a lot of us were, publishing our certificates when they were locked down. And that was encouraging to see. We also had a concept of Professor Friday where we were asking one of our senior team members to take a session of 1.5 hours. And to my surprise, around 100 plus people were participating in that. So we had done it differently. We had structured it for the junior team because you also know that it requires certain kind of discipline when it comes to the junior team or the blue collar staff. And for the managerial team, we had given them the avenues and kept it open. This was also the moment because we also learn, engage with Harvard for our capability building and for our hypos and our, consistent performers who are called top guns. So we started engaging with university at that point of time. And at the same time, we believed in applicability of the learning. So apart from what was being taught to them, we started giving them projects. Okay, and everyone had to do those projects, engage with their mentors, engage with their sponsors, and that was being reviewed by our CEO. So I think culturally we have evolved. I think it has been a journey. It has also saved us cost of travel of trainers who used to travel a lot at a particular point of time, but culturally it has helped us in opening ourselves, to information, to a culture where you do not have to sit in classroom and then get monitored through the trainer. It is like if you are not getting the scores, you are self disciplined in terms of learning. And then applicability, where we are encouraging people that you apply what you learn. So this is where we are, and we are still in the journey, and let's see how it goes. Thanks.
Yeah.
Amazing. I mean, that is really interesting, inculcating self-discipline, making sure that people are able to take the learning journeys themselves and, taking control of their learning and then, of course, applying that learning in their jobs. So that's amazing. And I really, really like your Professor Friday concept. I think I'm going to steal that with your permission. It's really going to help in our organization. After all, I think this is also one of the platforms where we'll be able to learn from each other. So that's great. It's a great concept.
And
Gunjan ji, you are part of a very, very large organization, and I'm sure L&D is kind of pivotal for the success of this organization, BHEL. Can you share some insights as to what is it that you have experienced, especially in terms of e-learning or digital L&D? I'm sorry, Gunjan ji, you are on mute.
Can you hear me?
Yes, yes, we can hear you now.
Yeah.
Go on.
So as you rightly said, it's a huge organization and spread over the entire country, and the different you can say segments. You have workers, you have executives, supervisors. You also have different target age groups. You can say, especially in the last few years, lot of youngsters had joined BHL, and we found that they were yeah, enrolling for different small modules and all, and they were asking for it. But the challenge that I faced was that especially the seniors, they would the same thing. I think someone else, I think Ashima had expressed that, or no, Deepshika had expressed that. How is it possible that anybody can learn? You need to be in person, in front of the person to learn. In fact, some of my seniors, I went to try to explain them to that we should get into e-learning, sir. Now is the time. So it was initially a totally uphill task. In 2017, we decided to go in a little more scientific way. We did benchmarking study of some organizations. We saw L&D practices there like Gale, NTPC, IOC, then SBI. So in SBI, we found that e-learning had been done in a substantial way. They had used a platform called Moodle, which was free, and when they had a team of vendors, and they had a team of 10 to 12 people just managing the vendor versus the subject matter experts. Those 10 to 12 people, they were the bridge between the vendor who was supposed to prepare the module and the participants, the subject matter experts. We thought that is very interesting. So we also tried to start that, and then we created a portal which was on Moodle. We did it in-house only. I was not getting any budget for it initially. So we thought that yes, Moodle is free, so I can experiment. So there was only one person with me. We both went ahead. And then we also did little bit of, requested to 3, 4 senior EDs that you please give us subject matter experts so that we can prepare some content. So I had good rapport with some of them. So they said, okay, we believe in you. And we prepared some initial material. So in 2019, suddenly, to my surprise, to everybody's surprise, in BHEL's MOU, government had put that they have to develop and train people through e-modules for 15 e-modules, 50 number. Now, by chance, since we had already done that background work, so we had 4, 5 ready, and the MOU came a little late, somewhere around June, July. So we launched that, and initially a lot of problems with the portal also. It used to crash. It was if there was more than say 50 people who are concurrently there. And we didn't know because we were not having that expertise because the IT department also didn't know how to handle the backend. So gradually we, worked upon that. Now it is not crashing. And we started with intranet within the, internet. We didn't dare to go because we didn't know how the system will work. So we started with intranet initially. Then we were able to complete the target of 15 e-modules with, it was not easy. So another challenge that we faced was that how do you quantify the learning hours? Because to incentivize the HRDCs in the different units of BHEL, they would like to know that, for physical trainings, you get these training man hours or training man days, whatever we used to say. Now it should be training person days, I think. So how do you do that for e-learning? So because if you made a content, say, which is, how do you, get the content that it is a 10 hours or 15 hours? And even if it is, say, 15 hours, you don't expect the person to do it in a day. So you have to give, the idea is that you have to give learning to the person at his or her own pace in their own workplace so that they can learn and they can continue with their work also. So that also, then we initially did some groundwork and then we thought, no, If we tell that, it is 10 hours, people will say, "Ki, what's the basis?" So then we took the feedback of the participants and we took the average learning hours. So that's how like we started that. And there are two parts. Like one is, yes, we had an e-module. Other is the webinars part. Now webinars part, I think now COVID is actually, I would say, a blessing in terms of e-learning. I'm not saying it's a good blessing. I have recently been afflicted by that. But for e-learning part, because now people don't have an option. People are not traveling anywhere. So initially that hesitation which I was facing, that people were saying, especially the elder age group, the younger age group, they immediately adapted and they were, we got very enthusiastic response. In fact, by September, I had seen that we had, can you hear me?
Yes.
Hello?
Please
Yeah.
continue. Please continue.
Yeah. So I had calculated that we had managed to have about 6,200 participants who had done about 21,000 learning hours in this current year. So which was, I would say, last year it was definitely, it was about 1,000. And the year before that it was zero. So from 0 hours, we've come to, probably it'll be around 8,000 learning hours as of now. So that is I think the journey that I thought I'd like to share.
That's amazing. I think it takes a lot of resilience from an L&D professional to keep pushing and to make sure that you get the budgets, that you get the right mindset, that people start accepting it, and then finally seeing success. So
Yes.
from 0 hours to more than 8,000 hours, I think that's really commendable, and hats off to you. And I wish you all the success for future as well. So
Thank you so
yeah,
much.
yeah. All right. So it's interesting to note, and as Gunjan was just sharing, different organizations have different, I would say, experiences. And mine is a manufacturing and sales-driven organization. And for us too, it was a little, I would say, difficult to make sure that everybody understands what e-learning is and understands how to make sure that this, that period, especially the lockdown period, was effectively utilized, and moving forward, how we going to make sure that our people continue with e-learning. So even before the pandemic had started, we had we had started going and sort of to establish our learning academy, the DS Learning Academy, and we had already started working on the pilot around that time. So this period actually gave a complete, I would say, accelerated push towards making sure that this happens. And I'm really happy to inform everyone that now our learning academy is kind of being established full-fledgedly. And the traditional approaches of learning are now completely modified to cater to not just the business needs, but also to the multi-generational workforce that we have. So we have almost, I would say, 4 or 5 generations working with us, so different age groups, and obviously their learning capabilities, their the way they adapt to different learning modules, the learning content, all has to be different and customized. And this DS Learning Academy is now capable of using AI and ML to sort of curate the learning content to customize it as per the learning capabilities of the learner. So it's going to be really interesting, and how we've actually just started our journey, especially for this academy, but the kind of traction where we are seeing, the kind of interest we are seeing in employees, I think it's really interesting. And as the HR head here and as a L&D professional, it is really, I would say, heartening to see.
Simran, I just add to something which I left out. You talked about curating the e-modules. So I just talked about the backend part, which was the portal. But the curating part is also equally important, which is like, how do you present the data? So here we then decided to go in for a software called Articulate 360. There was Adobe also was was good. And we procured some licenses, about 10 for the BHEL, across the BHEL. And then we trained the people on using this software to prepare an e-module. And we prepared guidelines. We, who's going to be the administrator, what is the role of different people, and then how do you upload that content onto the portal. So these, I would say now, by saying this, the loop is completed. That was just one part which I had mentioned.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you so much. It's interesting to know that. Deepshikha, I would come to you for my next question, actually. Um, you see, we always, talk about e-learning to drive learning and learning as a culture within the organization, or to build an organization, learning centric sort of organization. But you have used e-learning to actually drive engagement, and you were talking about blue collared workers, where you have actually upped the engagement here. So how have you done that? And it would be really nice. I think one of the audience members, Dr. Sethi, has also asked this question. If you could throw some light on how have you worked on blue collared engagement by using e-learning.
Yeah, definitely. And I'm happy that this question has come from Dr. Aparna Sethi. She's a real good friend of ours. And she's worked with our organization in a lot of interventions. So, yes, I think one of the challenges for us as L&D professionals was reaching out to the blue collared. All right. So, because, a simple thing like Google Meet or Zoom application was really, really challenging task for them to reach out. So we used quite an interesting methodology and approach. So what we did was we found out certain drivers in the organization, like we had a pool of internal trainers developed, or not just trainers, internal champions developed, engagement champions developed, who will then reach out to their people and train them on technology front, which is like a simple thing for us to understand, but people who are day in day out into the machines working on shop floor, it was quite challenging, right? So we our journey has also evolved in when we actually went ahead for engagement of blue collar. We started with making small video capsules, right, of training or engagement. So we when this pandemic started in
Yeah, we
yeah,
lost your voice, so now it's okay. Please continue.
is it fine
Yeah,
now?
yeah, continue. Yeah.
All right. So what I'm saying is, I remember in April, early April, we were given a target to reach out to our blue collar, and then it was very important to build that connect. So our theme was physically distant, emotionally connected. This is the theme of Hero. This has been the theme of Hero throughout the pandemic, and we really wanted to live it. So what we did is we made simple, small video capsules. Hello, am I audible?
Yeah, yeah. I think your jack is not. Yeah,
No, just a second. Is it okay now?
yeah. It's okay now.
So
Yeah.
I'll go a little slow and I'll not move my head much. I think. All right. So what I'm saying is, we also saw the evolving of using e-learning, or let's say digital platforms for training and engagement. In early April, we were given a target to reach out to our blue collar and make them feel this connect. So no matter if we are physically distant, we are always emotionally connected, right? So we created small video capsules, and which sent out messages to our people that now is the time when we can virtually connect with you all, and we are always there with you. So having that emotional connect was really, really important for us. And that's how the whole journey of engagement and training blue collar began. All right. And so once we had a common platform wherein, so we used WhatsApp technology at the beginning. We started with WhatsApp because that is the most instant form of communication nowadays. We had the messages of our top leadership team to our blue collar. And then we started with COVID-19 prevention training programs on Zoom platform. Then we know there was a lot of limitations on Zoom. So we also learned in the process. We started teaching people, we started training people on Google Meet. And then actually magic happened. So I was also like one of the trainers to train them on various topics or subjects. And I could really see they were like people lying down on bed, or in fact I saw a lot of workmen who were like on the fields खेतों में से भी, they were like they were so keen to learn. So they were like from the villages, they were attending training programs, and they really did not know how to unmute, how to mute, how to put off your camera, how to put on the camera. So there were a lot of challenges which we started, but then it brought in a lot of excitement in our people, and also that sense of belongingness and that sense of connect was there, and that really worked for us. We just kept on doing a lot of training programs with them. We also reached out to their family members, because digital platform gives you that flexibility to be anywhere anytime, you can just log in. So we reached out to their family members. We did a lot of programs on safety, a lot of programs on COVID related, a lot of programs on emotional connect, and that is how we reached out. We also so WhatsApp is one. So and to answer Dr. Sethi's question, WhatsApp is what we started with. We switched on to Zoom, and then we moved ahead to Google Meet. And we do a lot of participation, ask for participation in our Google Meet sessions, and that is how we are doing it together. So it'll be a surprise for like most of people. We've done thousands and thousands of training man-hours. So we've reached, so just in Gurgaon, we have completed around 20,000 training man-hours only in these 4 5 months. And that is like, and people come to us and ask for more of programs of such kind. So it is working beautifully in the organization.
That's really amazing, Deepshika. It's an interesting journey, and as you rightly say, it's a journey because a lot of times even we sort of learn from our mistakes, and we also were not really equipped to handle a lot of challenges that came in, especially during the beginning of this entire, the way we were going about trying to scramble and trying to figure out how to ensure e-learning reaches right to the to the last person. So as I said, we are a sales centric organization, manufacturing setup, and sales people sort of spread across India. Initially, I would like, I also would like to share with you guys, we used to have, and I have a sales trainer who would go and take sessions, 1 day session, half a day session in various locations whenever we had the JC or journey cycle meetings every month. So they would travel there, they would then spend, a day there and to impart the training, and half the time the sales head would say, "Nahi, abhi is mahine nahi, I don't have time. We have targets to fulfill. Don't come right now. Too much work. Induction ho raha hai of new people, they are coming in." At that time, also they would say, "No, no, there are so many challenges. Don't do." Surprisingly, everybody's taken up very, very quickly and swiftly to this e-learning and e-induction and e-trainings now. I mean, I think we have become more effective, especially now that this e-learning has made content so accessible, and it opens up so many opportunities for learners. Ashima, would you agree to me with me that while we are relying on digital solutions for training, training becomes more accessible, and it actually opens up so many more opportunities for learners. I mean, you yourself had been sharing earlier with me that with your setups in various locations, people spread out across locations, training and retraining and upskilling becomes very important, and hence e-learning is also quite important there, right?
Certainly, Simon. So, I mean, as an organization, one, of course, we have not been, since beginning, we believe in measuring training through certifications. And we have integrated training not only, just that you have to complete courses, but it is linked with our promotions. And I'll come to it how. So each module that we have has, we call it TPEC, which is called training, the practicals, the evaluations, and the certifications. So the applicability of training, or I think there is some.
Yeah, can I request other participants to please mute yourselves? We're having some sort of disturbance.
Alok, can we mute everyone?
Yes, please.
No, no, IT can mute everyone. Uh, Let me identify the person. Just a minute. Oh, Shatrughan
Okay, so
Shalugna. I'll just make him. I'll remove him. Don't worry.
I think it's resolved.
Yeah, yeah. No, 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 no. He's still on. Let's see. Go ahead. Go ahead. We'll take care.
Sure. So
Okay.
I was talking about the concept of TPEC. So for each module that we do operationally, as I said, that we cater to training in multiple ways. For us, we do not take care of man hours. We do not count man hours at all. We only see how many people who attended the training are certified, okay, which means how many of them scored. And in this journey also, what we went through, across locations, since we had put this caveat, and this is something which is in the goals of people and also with the managers, if we are investing, suppose we are investing in a busu training, like a language training that we do, or we invest in Harvard, or we invest in some executive education where people have to go, if they do not pass or if they do not get qualifying marks, then we link it to the appraisal system, right? So this is something that we have been doing, and in this course of time, when we actually had to link, like Deepshika was telling, all of us had to link training with engagement because people had a lot of time and we had to keep our flock intact. So again, we kept on reiterating that we are measuring the scores, and we used to publish the scores of people. So we used to recognize people who were leading. So suppose it's a busu training and you have, so busu goes in, like, A plus B, the way your language changes, it gives you stars. And every time, whenever people perform in any training, whether we make it functional trainings for your sales people or for our projects people, we publish the scores. And during this time, all the kind of engagement trainings that we were doing, or the process trainings that we were doing, or the subject matter expert trainings that we were doing, every week we used to publish the score. And I think that was also a motivator for people to compete. And this was also a time when people used to compete and they used to say that, okay, next time I'll get a better score. And we used to publish it also on social media, on our platforms. So I think, COVID, though this virus has to go or the vaccine has to come, but I certainly agree that it has made us innovative. And whatever we were doing in the past as a part of our curriculum or course, I think it just added more avenues for us because it was somewhere a compulsion for HR to keep our flock intact, engaged, and above all motivated in this tough period. So that is how we have managed. So training has been course, training has been score, training has been recognition, training has been publicity. So that is all, in a nutshell, I would say that we have done across.
That's amazing, Ashima. I mean, being innovative and using training as a source of not just learning, but also recognition, also motivation, bringing out the competitive spirit in the organization, and of course, utilizing it for capability building at the end of the day. I think that's amazing, and that's how most organizations are trying to take training. Initially, I remember there was a time when training was considered to be a cost, and whenever you would want to do some sort of a cost reduction, the first thing that would be struck from the list would be any amount of training that you would have suggested. Today it is of course an investment, and especially more so in today's scenario when we have multi-generational workforce working with us, and they need to be not just trained and skilled, but reskilled, people need to relearn whatever they have learned earlier, unlearn whatever it was, look at newer ways of going about doing things. I think e-learning and virtual trainings have now, I think this is going to be the new normal going forward. While there are certain times when we do feel that we do miss the physical contact or the physical presence of a trainer, there are also challenges in terms of a person not really paying attention, or we don't know what is happening. People may be switching off their cameras and you really don't know whether they're even listening to you or not. So at this point of time, Dr. Rao, I think we should have a poll
Yeah, it's
with our
good.
audience where we can
Yeah,
ask what according to them they
yeah,
feel has
sure,
been the
sure.
challenges.
I
I
think
think
our IT,
yes.
can you help us with launching a poll? We want to know from the audience. Yeah, he's there.
Excellent.
There is a question. What are the top three challenges you face? Face is missing there. You face during digitalization L&D. Pick the top three options as per your choice. You can pick maximum three, not more than three. And there are many options are 10 actually. I was counting. There are
I'm
10
sorry, but
options.
how do
Yeah.
you sort of
Yeah.
pick it?
Yeah, wonderful. People have started polling already. They're all digital. Yeah, the question is, what are the top three challenges you face during digitalization? The face is missing there. Digital face during digitalization L&D. Okay, wonderful. Oh, many people. Good, good speed. Huh? Already, 27% have already voted. That's very nice. 44%. 51%. Okay. We've taken 1 minute, 14 seconds. Normally we'd keep it on for two minutes. It is one
I
minute
think
18. Yeah,
it's
it is 1 minute
quick.
20 seconds.
It's a quick dipstick. I think
Yeah,
that's
yeah. No, normally we keep it for 2 minutes. It
yes,
is 1.28 now,
yes.
1.5 minutes. Just keep it, maybe another. Come on, friends. We want everyone to participate. We have very senior people. Uh, you should guide if you give us the list of challenges, it will be better for the panelists to address the challenges, share their experiences, or suggest some strategy mitigation strategies. So very good. So we'll end of 2 minutes. We'll stop. Okay, my friend Alok, we can stop here. Yeah, stop here.
All right. It's interesting to note that almost 56% of you say that the major challenge has been inadequate infrastructure. And
Structure.
I couldn't agree more. I mean, especially for organizations like ours who are not really a tech organization, having the infrastructure in place itself for L&D is a big challenge. Then the next is, of course, maintaining the attention of
Attention of the
participants.
participants.
Yes, I mean, how do you really keep people engaged? The poll actually was one of the ways in which we wanted you to be engaged, all of you. So good for us, at least, Dr. Rao. Some
The
attention.
third is absence of workplace atmosphere. No, you are not seeing the factory, you're not seeing that office.
Yes, absolutely.
That is the third one here. Okay. Shall I close this? Yeah.
Yes, I think,
Thank
yes.
you. Thank you. Go ahead. We have time wise, we are 4:53. We
All
have,
right.
so around
Okay, fair
5:50.
enough. I will just bring up the last section of our, discussion, and then we will start addressing. There are a lot of interesting
Yeah, a
questions
lot of questions.
that have come up on the chat, and we've just been able to address one of them. But the next, I think we should be talking about what we think is the way forward now. Going forward, I think organizations will need to understand that virtual learning is the way ahead, and that there is no going about it. We should, if we are not really equipped, we should now equip ourselves to ensure digitalization of L&D is happening at a very fast pace in our organizations. Looking at the way organizations are now, a majority of workforce is working from home. We must make sure that they are engaged and they are able to have some sort of a collaboration in place, between different cross-functional teams while still being remote, in different locations. So managing cross-functional teams remotely and communicating effectively is going to be the next big challenge and the way forward when it comes to learning and when it comes to the way that we are going to be working. Obviously, as I said, it's no longer going to be that learning is, it's a cost. It is going to be an investment, and there will be an increased level of investment in making sure that there are learning experience platforms in place, and that onboarding sessions, that taking people on board, inductions, all of that will start happening online. So a lot of learning will continue to remain online. And obviously, people will need to be shown certain career paths, and learning and development and digital learning and development is going to be one of the key factors to retain your employees. Research shows that employees would want to stick with organizations that are looking at, investing in their development, and digital platform is going to be one of that, those areas. So coming to you, Deepshika, one question which I would like to ask you, because you are a certified coach as well, as how have you used coaching to drive learning? And has it been an effective tool?
Yes, definitely, Simon. I think because of this pandemic, where it was absolutely unpredictable and nobody ever knew that we will land up in the VUCA world. And so I think learning for everyone, be it a top management person or a workman, learning has become the most important part of life. Whoever is working, right? But then the question is, who needs to learn? Who? Everybody needs to learn, but the question is what needs to be learned and how, right? And that is where coaching intervention plays a very, very important role. People are stuck, so people are looking for clarity of thoughts, people are looking for a push, people are looking for, envisioning their own future. So I know, as an HR professional, I need to learn, right? I need to learn the art of learn in the digital era. But what exactly do I need? What is it that is bothering, right? So there is when the coaching intervention plays a very important role. I am coaching a few clients with me who are really, wanting to know, where is this going? All right, where is this going? So I think when I talk about digital mindset and also growth mindset, this is the time when everyone is forming a new learning path, right? And this is the time when we should plan for our learning trajectory. We should plan what is coming next in terms of learning a new skill or a new competence. So coaching is working wonderfully, and I think this is the need of the hour. We should have enough of coaches, like managers who are coaches, leaders who are coaches, who can really help our people have that clarity of thought, and they can open the doors for learning of new skills, new competence, which will really help them in future. And also I would like to just share one thing. This is what I have realized. Gone are those days when we used to talk about who is at the higher level, who's at the lower level. It is the time when the faster will survive, the faster over the slower. All right, so everybody needs to speed up, and everybody needs to gear up in terms of learning and know what is required. So for that awareness and clarity, coaching will really be wonderful, will really be helpful, I say.
Absolutely, I agree with you. I mean, once you have clarity, and coaching definitely helps bring in that clarity, that really is going to be helpful. Now, coming, I think I'm going to take one of the questions and pose it to you, Ashima, because I think we've had Sunil Abrol and Rajiv Khurana asking almost similar questions here, and these are related to measuring the effectiveness of programs. Now, you said that you are evaluating programs and you are obviously linking it to promotions, and a lot of organizations, including ours, we use these I would say learning credits to sort of be certain points which you need to clear, or certain levels that you need to clear before you're considered for promotions. But how do you measure the effectiveness of such trainings? I mean, do you have any such mechanism in place? And if so, then what are these?
Sure. So, as far as training effectiveness is concerned, we try to see what is the capability that was built. So, any training program that we build within the organization, of course, anything comes out of a need, right? And in today's time, you see business has become very demanding in terms of their people. So, for example, I will say that we do behavioral trainings as far as they are concerned in the organization. We do few programs, which is on capability building at different levels. But what maximum we do are the functional trainings. Now, if I speak about, for example, an expansion school in projects, or I speak about a sales training. So, sales, I will tell you, we had a clear need assessed of the program. And we run that program, maybe through whichever university or whichever, vendor we would want to go ahead with. But at the end of the day, once the training is over, after a period of 6 months or 1 year, we would sit with business and evaluate what is the kind of difference we can see, okay, in people. So either the trainings are based on competencies, if they are behavioral, and you should see a shift when you try to measure the performance management, because our performance management is like 70-20-10, which is on the objectives, on the competencies and the values. So either we do a 360 of people, okay, and see if there is a there's a shift in the competencies. If I was rated a 3 before last year, post my training on my competencies, I have moved the needle to 3.5. That is one way of measuring it and generating reports. Otherwise, business will say HR only spent money. The other way is that, suppose if it was a training of sales, as I was mentioning, and you had 5 points on that, in the sense that people need to know the sales processes, they need to turn around more people, more vendors, more accounts. And in order to turn around the vendors and accounts, these are the trainings that we are giving. And there has to be a shift from 2019 to 2021. So we keep very clear deliverables for each training module outcome, and people are measured on that, and training programs are also evaluated on that. So suppose like we used to do a program of Act Harvard, as we used to say, for our middle management. Okay. And like in Cosmo, we are going to, now we have already started, we are going to engage for the junior management and for the middle management, which is linked with our competency, and we are going to do those programs. So all of them will have a clear outcome. And if suppose it is not working out and people are not changing in their delivery, then either we will change the program or we will evolve in the program, with the experts with whom we have tied up. So that's in a nutshell that for each program that we do, we have tried keeping very measurable outcomes at the end of the program. So that's all I will say.
Fantastic. I think that is a great learning for a lot of organizations where, while people are provided certain learning material and trainings and everything, ultimately the effectiveness is not measured. And if it is not measured, you really don't know what is the effect on the top line or the bottom line that's happening. And by ensuring that there are clear deliverables, clear objectives of the learning defined first, and ultimately what is the shift in competency proficiency level, whether it's happening or not happening, when you're measuring that and measuring performance, measuring outcomes, that is how truly you're able to see whether your learning and training.
Yeah. And I would just say that probably a lot of times it flows from the leadership, because I think I should give that credit to our CEO. Yeah. Because every month we kind of review with the leadership team. So the focus of leadership or the focus of CEO is very high on such training initiatives, because end of the day, if you have been assigned a budget, you better do it right. And the other challenge that if you see and read, there are so much content, there's so much of it coming out. There was a PwC survey that a lot of CEOs are actually concerned about the skill set, right? That they are evolving, they are changing. We don't know what are the kind of jobs that will be, and post-COVID, you actually see it. There will be redundancy in so many areas. So actually, CEOs are concerned about the skill development of their own people. And hence, I think there is a lot of focus which drives HR crazy at times as to how to prove it. So I think that credit goes to our leadership.
Yes, great.
Simon, I would like to share one of the interventions that we are doing at Hero. So rightly said, Ashima, that it has to come from the leadership team. One very beautiful intervention which is going on in Hero is it has come directly from the chairman. And the whole objective, so I really believe that there has to be a specific objective whenever you're launching any program. So it is about creating leadership pipeline, looking at the crisis time and the need of more leaders in the organization. So the chairman and the functional heads have picked up around 100 to 120 people across levels from the organization, from different functions. And these people undergo so there is a pre-work there, and then they undergo a development center, which we everybody knows about it. And then after the development centers and the EQ scores and the Harrison assessment or whatever is there, the psychometric test plus the development center scores, based on the scores, which is again on the set competency framework of Hero leadership. So these people are now scored. All right. And based on the scores, these people undergo one-on-one coaching program, and then they form individual development plan, wherein they have to mention this is the level where I am currently and this is where I want to reach. Right. So a level 3 will now want to reach at level 5 in order to get a leadership position wherever he wants to or she wants to, right? And that is how we measure. So that now these people are getting opportunities in leadership level to understand if they are ready to perform there or not, or they have to wait like for 2 3 more years and then take up leadership positions. But then a clear cut competency mapping is being done based on the IDPs and the projects that we have given. So I understand that it is not possible to assess the impact of all the training programs that we do, and it is not in fact required. But yes, we can always pick up a few uh, programs or interventions wherein we actually want to see a level 2 impact, or a level 3 impact, or a level 4 impact, right? So this is working very well in the organization.
Really nice. Thank you so much for sharing that, Deepshika. I have one very interesting question, and I think Dr. Rao has forwarded that again to me as well. Is This is from Parimal Gandhi, where yeah, the audience wants to understand from us that we keep hearing the word push. How do we convert it to pull? I mean, of course, as L&D and as HR, we always try and sort of push people towards learning. How do you make it interesting? Now, before
Uh,
somebody else answers this, I would like to sort of share my experience, and then I will ask all of you to sort of share yours. I think one way of doing that is, learning becomes a pull, or people want to do learning if they know what is it in for me. Okay, humans are selfish people ultimately. We want to know what is it in for me, and if I am able to understand that this is there, this is how I'm going to benefit from it, I'm going to make sure that I take that learning. So that's the first thing. If you are able to provide, as we are doing at DS Group, we are trying to provide customized learning material for people where they understand that this is as per their liking. So even the course content that is thrown to them is AI enabled, and therefore once they, if you understand a person likes videos or like small articles or something, that kind of content is thrown to them. So first of all, that. Secondly, if it comes around from a need, and I find it enjoyable. A lot of gamified learning material is what attracts the younger generation, especially. So, if you are able to provide something that they are really enjoying, you really don't think that this is a chore ultimately, right? You would want to do that. So, that becomes it's no longer a push, you would want to do it. So, that's my take on it. But then I would want maybe, Gunjan, you've not spoken for a while. If you would want to
yeah,
start, then
yeah,
Shukla.
definitely. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
What you creating a pull is very important because, especially for the younger generation, they have to first identify, like Simon, you said that what is in it for me. If it is relevant for me, I will go for it. That's definitely the starting point. Second thing, we have tried to use, videos and we can say scenario kind of things using the Articulate software. So small snippets we have embedded in that. That okay, suppose you say that okay, active listening. How do you explain it? So some small anecdote relating to boss and subordinate key, whether this is active listening happening or not, and उसमें questions भी डाल दिए उसमें. We have also added a quiz at the end of the total module. And for that, we have made mandatory 60% passing marks, and that they can do it in 3 attempts. So the idea is that people should, go through and do it. And I think when somebody feels that, yes, I have not, say, scored certain level, so that inherently brings up the competitive spirit within that. No, I have to clear that. And many people, they have come back to me, see, I got 85% and you should have given me one more attempt, I could have done better. So gamification is another area that we are now working upon. Right now you have to make it attractive, and using videos and audios, and even sometimes yes, good content obviously. So these are the points I want to share.
All right.
Yes, Radhiji,
I
you want to take it next? Yeah.
Yeah. So I also have, so I think this is the most interesting part of it. I will not go for any learning if I am not interested, right? So I think one of the things that organization needs to do is make it mandatory. It's not a push thing, but understanding the situation, the need of the hour, everybody needs to understand this is a compulsory thing to do, having that digital mindset. And also, so for the younger people it's not a big deal, but the people who are like us, let's say 15, 16 years of experience or 30 years of experience, we really need to speed up. Second is personalization. I think this is the future of L&D. Like I do a lot of online shopping, Mintra, Flipkart, this and that, and automatically you get a pop-up window saying that okay, you may like this, right? So recommendations basis what are you searching for when you are into a learning program, when you are on your computer, what are you searching for in terms of learning. So there are a lot of technology, I think API or something, which I don't know much about it, but recommendations on your next learning move, if that can be done, that really excites learners. Also adding variety. So as human beings we have a tendency to pick from the options, whether we are in restaurants or whether it is an online shopping, we want a lot of options laid in front of us. So what in Hero, what we do is we do have e-learning platform, which is Percipio, which is a part of Skillsoft. We also have LMS as part of Success Factor. We also have tied up with Udemy, Coursera, LinkedIn Learning, and we also have reimbursement policies in place. And we actually free our people to take on courses. There is a limit there, but then you can take on any course and ask for reimbursement. So the employee has this feeling that yes, organization has come up with a lot of options for myself. And you have, if you have lot many options in front of you, the tendency is to pick one or two for sure. So this again can work. And also use of gamification, like there are a lot of applications on fitness, Step Up, Google tracking, Samsung fitness check. So in learning also we have introduced monetary, non-monetary reward and recognition things, leadership scoreboard. So a person who scores high gets motivated further to take up next learning program, but a person who has not scored high actually overcomes the fear of failure and tries to compete harder, right? So all this enhances the morale level, I guess, and this really works for learners.
Yeah, very interesting. Yes. Ashima, would you want to chip in?
Hi, thanks, Simon. So, for me, I believe the pull factor is only created by the credibility of a program.
Hmm.
So, I would say that we as HR or as management need to pick up the right program for people. So, maybe not the volume, not the quantity but the quality of the program matters, because as you see, and a lot of people take a lot of pride. So if the course is of a university, or the course is so niche of a skill set that people take pride and interest in doing that, I think that is something that we need to focus on while picking up the programs. So if maybe we can, and of course, as HR, we have been pushing, all of us have done that, okay, in our career.
Yeah.
But now I feel that till the time people don't come and ask for a program, and which is completely based on the credibility. And these days, since world has changed and the universities have evolved, okay, and the skill sets have been niche, how much difference does it make to me? Maybe, my, okay, maybe a communication skill, maybe a presentation skill would not make a difference for me, but maybe a leadership program of a reputed, like, probably I may take a name of Hayes saying making great leaders, which is their standard program. If I do it, makes a difference to my CV and profile, I would be more serious. So I think I would go for the quality, and I would go for the credibility that is in the eyes of people. So it is about the brand of the training that we use. So I think that is what I look for when I choose programs for our people.
Yeah, ultimately, Ashima, then that also again boils down to what is it in for me? If that
Yeah,
brand, if
absolutely.
that training is adding value to me as my brand, so I think
Absolutely.
I would be more than interested in taking that up, and it will become a not a push thing but a pull thing. It's automatically. I have an interesting question from Dr. Rao, TV Dr. TV Rao here, and I cannot sort of ignore this question. I think all of us need to sort of answer here. He's asking, what skills would you develop through digital media? What were the difficulties that you found while sort of imparting those digital skills, and what skills actually did you sort of focus on, and at what level? So I think, Deepshika, would you want to take that first, because you did a lot of work with workers and you're currently doing it with blue collar workers? So what are the skill sets that you're trying to develop through e-learning?
Okay, I think we have a long way to go, because we have just touched upon. So our idea was to reach out to as many people as we can, and we have covered 100% of our people. But yes, there are a lot of challenges and a lot of skills to develop. One could be podcast. So for learning professionals, I think podcast is something that we really would want to learn. In fact, I have also not started that. So and so being able to understand the whole technology around it, making videos, sharing videos, and keeping it in the reservoir. I think there's a lot to learn when we talk of digital media here. But to me, what comes in my mind is understanding what all digital platforms are available, first of all. So not just sticking to the Google Meet, Hangout, or just the Zoom. We should look for more digital platforms, and podcast is something that is, I think, the in thing here, and we really need to make use as much as we can in corporate.
Gunjan, have you sort of focused on any specific skill sets while you were, because you had to push
Yeah,
what?
yeah. Actually, basically, we focused on the technical and functional only at the moment. Our I got a lot of inputs, especially like from Dipshika for the workers, blue collared, workers. So that is how to do that. I got insights today, so I am thankful to be here. Mainly technical and functional. And yeah, one thing I found that, in webinar and these trainings, timing is very important. If you keep the session should be just the right time. If it goes beyond, say, 1.5 hours, so people start getting restless, and we find that they start losing interest. So, for example, recently we have changed it. Initially, we had kept it, say, full one day. Now we have change a strategy that, okay, suppose it was a 3 days training, so we will keep half of day, so that people are, their attention span is limited in case of webinars especially. So this is one thing I thought.
Okay. Interesting. I would like to share that, we have a competency framework in place, and what we have tried to do is link our e-learning to more of the not just the behavioral aspect, but also the technical aspects for each of the roles. So we are trying to build skills or focus on skill sets which are also technical in nature and not just the behavioral competencies. I mean, that's normally the tendency where we used to do a lot of behavioral interventions. Now it is more on technical fronts, and I think we've been fairly successful there. All right. I'm looking at several questions that sort of also evolve around the how effectively we are assessing trainings and all. There is one question which is related to EQ, and has any of you actually worked on developing emotional quotient or empathy amongst employees by using e-learning? So if there's been any experience like that, maybe we could share that as well for our
We have introduced a module on, empathy and emotional intelligence, and like we have a questionnaire at the end, but it's difficult to say whether somebody's empathy actually has increased after attending or not. Yes, if somebody is, keen learner, somebody wants to do it and is finding out how to do it, then yes, that they can access that learning, but essentially that drive, that urge has to come from within for the person. So it's very difficult to measure the change in empathy or even EQ through any course. I don't know. I hope I might get an answer if somebody of our other learned panelists, they can share that. How do you do that?
Yeah, I agree. It is quite difficult, even in, when you're having a face-to-face intervention, even at that point in time, to measure a change in EQ or empathy is a little difficult. But I mean, I'll also be happy to learn if anyone, Ashima, Deepshika, if you've got any experience there.
Sure. So how we do it, basically we use 360 for all our people, okay, through success factors. Of course, and it throws excellent results. So sometimes, no, so we do not do it for everyone. Neither we do a digital program. When we see that there is a need for EQ, it also has to be handled very sensitively with the particular individual. So we assign, depending upon the seniority of the individual, if it is a middle junior team, then we assign mentors, okay, who's not boss, but who is cross-functional leader within the organization from anywhere, and who can coach the individual. And if it comes out to be with the leadership team sometimes, then we assign an external coach. But no, we have not done any digital program on that. And it is a long program, empathy, emotional quotient, these things do not get changed in one course. So one has to keep on investing. The boss has to invest, time through multiple sessions so that you can change. Changing behavior, changing mindset is not a day's job. Yeah. So hence we try to address it through mentoring and coaching, and whatever we see in 360, of course, keeping in mind that it is a sensitive subject for the individual. So that's all that we do.
Simin, looking at the time, there is one question Rajiv Khurana has raised, that still in the old one, in the new bottle, whereas the participant wants shorter program, short duration program. So what skills and packaging is required by the facilitator to keep it simple and short? So any experiences? How are you doing it?
I was actually going to take up this question, Dr. Rao. So it is nice that you picked it up. I was waiting it for the last segment, because this also raises a question as to how much or how many hours, or how much is too much, I would say, and how should you have learning precise and crisp enough to have that attention span. So is there any methodology with which we are, any of you are using? I would say personally that, we haven't really, we've focused more on micro learning. And I feel that, when you have learning which is short and in smaller modules that actually, and especially if it is in either a gamified version or a video methodology that brings about the interest of people. There are very
Okay.
few people, who would want to read longer articles, but yeah, that could be, I mean, one of the ways. I don't know if Ashima, Deepshika, or Gunjan are using
No,
some.
I think from a one-day conference we have converted to 90 minutes. So
Yeah,
this is an effort to make it simple and short and still
yes,
relevant and interesting. With that, I would request Simin to give your concluding remarks, a kind of no, more as a moderator.
yes. Well, thank you so much, everyone, for being part of this very, very interesting panel. I think all the participants would have definitely gained a lot of insights from all of you. So, we've discussed how the COVID has actually accelerated virtual learning and how digitalization in L&D is now the way forward. This is no longer going to be a cost, but an investment in which organizations need to continuously invest. Measuring the effectiveness of these training programs is going to be extremely important because, again, productivity, making sure that the organization remains competitive and able to sustain itself. E-learning is going to be the way forward going on ahead. There will, of course, be a need for continuous upskilling of people. There will be a need to make sure that people are, taking this learning as a journey and not just a one-time sort of intervention. Going forward, I think we are going to see a very different culture in our learning development in all organizations. So thank you once again, everyone, for being part of this wonderful panel. And it was really, really interesting for me as well to be the moderator here. Thank you so
Thank
much.
you. Before there's a concluding remarks, concluding address by the secretary of the chapter, I am supposed to give you a list of takeaways. I have changed my mind. I
Okay.
am asking the participants, please write down in the chat box one single takeaway that you are taking away. So I will pull it and share with you. While we share with you the recording of today's session, I will also share with this list of takeaways. I will also write there. Please write. Everybody write. In the meanwhile, we'll request the secretary of the chapter, Mr. Ajay Sahu, to give his closing remarks and also propose a vote of thanks. In the meanwhile, we'll let us write in the chat box, like I have picked up Professor Friday.
Yes,
Something. Yeah, like let people
I love
write what they picked up. What let people write what they picked. Even the panelist can write what you picked up.
that.
I have written Professor Friday. Oh, somebody. Let's see who is writing what. Yeah. So we ask the participant to write. Digital mindset, someone has picked up. That's what I think Deepshika had started with that. Or ways to pull, somebody has picked up. Wonderful. So wonderful. Take a democratization of learning. Hero initiative engaging blue collar workers. Yeah. Alok, can we get Mr. Ajay Sahu to do the closing remarks and the vote of thanks? Alok,
Yeah, sir.
can we put his slide?
Sure.
Yeah. While the audience are writing, no issues. It's for each person. Okay. Yeah, over to Ajay. So this is the introduction of Ajay. He is the new secretary of ISTD for the next 2 years. So over to Ajay.
All right. Thank you, GP. All right. Thank you, everyone. I was just fascinated by the pull and push factor as far as online webinars and trainings are concerned. So I was just noticing that we started off with only 36 people at about 4 o'clock. Now it's almost 5:30. And by 5:06, we had the peak 75 people. And right now we have 62. Normally, people do move out, and 62 is a very good number for the closing session. Thank you, everyone, for joining in. Um, I would like to close with a joke which I had read long back. During COVID times, actually, there was a lot of pressure on the financials. And this joke goes like this, that the CFO, who was actually hard pressed to actually pay the salaries on time to the employees, he was talking to the head of HR and said, why do we train people? Like, if we train people and they leave, then we are gone. Like, then the head of HR says that, what if we don't train people and they stay, right? Okay, so that gives the truth to the fact that training is a must. And I have the privilege to thank our eminent panelists, Dipshika, Ashima, and Gunjan, and the moderator, Simin. The curator, GP, he has done a tremendous job, and he is actually the curator for the series of webinars which Delhi chapter has been having, and it will continue to have. I would like to thank the office bearers of Delhi chapter, especially the chairman, Mr. Mukesh Jain. In fact, he was the one who started this series. Not only this series, but there is another series which is every Friday we have a webinar which is for by the members and for the members. And I would like to thank all the participants for joining and staying the course till now. I would like to thank the other bodies who have supported us in this webinar series, NHRDN, Faridabad Management Association, Delhi Management Association, and NIPM. And finally, I would like to thank Alok, our IT person who has made this online webinar successful, Arun, and also I would like to make a special mention of Mr. Mukesh Jain's daughter, who has created these creatives and the flyers. Thank you so much. And I would like to hand it over to Mr. Mukesh Jain for the next webinar, which is coming up on 20th. Mr. Jain.
Thank you, Ajay ji. Thank you very much, the wonderful panelists, Dr. Rao, for arranging this. And, we are having our many national past president, and Dr. Akil Basra is there, TV Rao Saab from NHRD national president. We are having many chapter chairmen and very senior NC members from all India. So we welcome you all, sir, and we thank you very much for sparing time for Delhi chapter. With your kind cooperation and support, we'll continue to do some programs for the benefit of our profession and professionals. So thank you very much, and I'm sure 20th program Padam Bhushan Dr. MB Atreya program is there. So all of you are requested to come, participate, bring your friends also. It is going to be a wonderful session. So thank you very much, and thanks everybody.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank you,
Thank
everyone.
you.
So this is while the session is officially closed. It will be the live. The platform will open for the next 2-3 minutes for informal and open